This is Sedona, and you're listening to WRSU FM New Brunswick, the home of Rutgers Radio.
Hi, I'm Selena from WRSU, and I'm here with Sedona. So, first question is, how are you, during this time with the climate and the election?
Yeah, I'm doing as well as I can, just trying to take things day by day with everything. Um, Not sure if I should be glued to my phone today or with it turned off. I'm like constantly struggling with that. But yeah, I'm just trying to stay informed and do all I can. I voted. I think everyone should vote. I think this election is really important. I think that this is a not a time to be silent for any reason. I think that's kind of my motive right now at the moment. I'm still learning every day though.
Okay. So, last month you released your debut EP, Rearview Angel. Tell me, what was the process like creating this EP?
Yeah, so this EP is a collection of different songs made with different people. Some of the songs are a couple years old. Some of them are newer in the last year, but they all kind of came together to tell this story that is Rearview Angel. And yeah, the concept behind the EP is kind of like everyone has a custom shadow that follows them around, and that shadow is made up of all your past experiences, all your past memories, all the past things you've gone through that make you who you are today. And so I thought of like creating all those past selves into an entity, a little creature that follows you. That's called Rearview Angel. So everyone has a Rearview Angel.
So, at what point did you decide, like, this is the name, like, this is what we're going to call this project?
For the EP or the name of the project?
For the EP.
So the EP, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good question. I was struggling with, oh, should I just, you know, pick a track and have the EP be like named after a song? Should it just be called Sedona? Because I know that a lot of my favorite artists have self-titled debut projects. So like Patrice Russian's first album is called Patrice Russian. And a lot of artists go that route. But I just felt like because this EP was more conceptual in terms of the title of the EP itself having a story, just like each of the songs do, I felt like it was important to give it its own title. And who knows, maybe in future projects or future albums, I'll decide to go kind of the track route. But I really like giving every single aspect of a project its own kind of moment and name.
Yeah. Okay. So, I know you've mentioned in a recent interview that a rear view angel can be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on how you treat yourself. How do you transform that negative energy into something positive?
I mean, that takes a lot of practice and unlearning and learning. But I think that the best thing you can do is something I've been doing recently is journaling, and kind of putting that inner dialogue out on paper. So I think that for me is why I write songs and how I came up with the concept was in doing that, was in creating a narrative that I had with myself, because a lot of times we live in a world where we're constantly looking back at ourselves, looking at other people. There's no room to breathe, there's no room to think. So I think it's important to, all these thoughts you have in your head, to take them outside of it. And sometimes that helps you work things out with yourself, work out things with other people. And I think it ultimately is what you need to kind of figure out what you like about yourself and what you want to work on and how you're going to do it.
And is journaling something that you've like just done this year, or is it something that you've always been like practicing and writing?
Yeah, I think that for me, I have always been a writer, and journaling is one of those forms. I also write poetry, I also write short stories, I also, like, write short films and music video treatments, depending on what the day is, but I think that I love journaling. It's hard to find time. I prefer to write a song because it's less direct and it's less kind of like reflective. It's more, um, you know, poetic. It's not as to the point, and I think that's why songwriting for me is a form of self-care and a form of journaling and sharing my experiences in a way that I feel other people can relate to. Sometimes journals feel too personal, even for me. Like if I'm writing to myself, I'm like, oh God, I don't want to go there. So, um, yeah, I definitely journal. I want to get better at it and become more consistent. But yeah, that's my experience.
And also in the interview, you've mentioned how you try not to fit into a box, when it comes to musical exploration or experimentation. Does that happen naturally for you, or are you like more conscious about it?
I think it happens naturally because I work with so many different people. But yeah, I love to let a song kind of make itself. I don't like to put parameters on it or, oh, I want it to sound like this, I want it to sound like that. I just kind of go with the flow of whoever I'm working with and the mood I'm in, the content of the song, what it's about. And I let that kind of unfold as organically as possible. And I think that for me is probably why I don't have a very specific sound yet. I have a couple different avenues that I tend to go down, but I'm excited to see if I ever end up picking one, or if one tends to outshine the other more often than not. But yeah, I'm still figuring it out.
Okay. So at the moment, we're all stuck indoors due to the pandemic. What were some of the challenges that you've had to overcome due to COVID?
COVID challenges. Let's see. I It's been hard to feel a part of a community. It's not the same online. It's nice to have the internet, but it's also like can never replace in-person interaction and community. And for live music, I feel like me and my friends who are part of that community have really missed it and had a hard time, you know, doing live shows online and all the live streams. It's weird and it feels weird and it's not as fun. And yeah, that's been hard. But I think that with all that and with realizing how important it is to maintain relationships in person comes a kind of a new opportunity for creating in isolation. And I think I've had a really fun time doing that. I've had a really fun time, you know, producing, learning how to produce myself, working on projects that I put on pause, songs, demos, collaborations. And so it's been fun to kind of take a step back from everything and think about what I want to do um, in isolation, if you will. But yeah, it's hard for everyone right now. And I think that thank God for music.
Yeah. So speaking of music, is there a song lyric that you're like very proud you wrote where you're like, yeah, I want this tattooed on my body, like I want it permanent?
Oh my god. I have a hard time listening to my music, and I don't know if that's something that I'll outgrow or if that's just me, but I don't like listening to the songs after they're done. I like making them, and when I'm like, "They're done," I don't listen to them. Um, the day of the album release last week, I was driving home to Brooklyn with my guitarist and her girlfriend, and they were like, "Put on the EP, put on the EP." So I did, but I just don't enjoy that, and, I make it for myself, but once it's done, I don't like to kind of bask in it. I do like the lyrics. I think they are very like, personal to me, and if I had to choose a song, um whose lyrics I feel really are most personal to me, I would choose, Paper Moon. I think the lyrics from that song are very personal, and they talk about a time in my life, that I don't usually talk about, which is my childhood, and so, yeah, I tried to put those in a way that, would help me learn to talk about it and learn to think about it, so that song was kinda my attempt to make amends with my baby Rachel self.
Mm. Okay, so in Best in Show, you've included the lyric "No Reply from Hollywood," which is like the title of the next track, but it's an extension of Best in Show. What was the approach to this decision?
So that's one of the songs that the full band wrote. So we wrote that, oh god, a year ago in LA. We were all just jamming and we're like, "Wait a second, we should turn this kind of into a little interlude or intro to Best in Show." We weren't sure if we wanted it to come before or after. And as we started recording and messing around for live shows, we were like, "You know what? This should be the intro into the song." So when we do it live, we actually perform No Reply from Hollywood first. And so when the EP was coming together and I was thinking about song order and track order, I just didn't feel like it was accomplishing the same kind of release, because live music is so different than recorded music. And so actually, it was my manager who thought of putting it after, because I was like, "It doesn't feel the same like when we do it live, something feels different." And so she was like, "Let's put it after and it'll be kind of like this extension of it into the rest of the EP." And so thank you, Sophia, because that was totally her.
Yeah, I was like, "Whoa, like, wait a minute, is this the same song? Is it not?" So I was like that was like a really great surprise for me.
Awesome, thank you.
And the EP sounds like very nostalgic. When I was listening to songs like Paper Moon and Leaving the Chapel, I was just reminded of like 80s stadium power ballads. So I wanted to know who or what were some of your influences for this EP?
Yeah, I feel like I listen to all types of music, but if I were to pick 2 that I like, if I could only listen to 2 types of music forever, it would definitely be, like, 80s, dance power ballads, anything 80s. I love 80s music, and, like, 70s soft rock or, like, 90s kind of post-punk grunge stuff, and, I think that, the EP, when I listen to it and I think about, okay, where does each one of these songs come from? It feels like Paper Moon is like this power ballad. Crying on My Own is like this power bop. It's like an upbeat, more dancey song. And then you dive into Best in Show, which feels more, you know, rock oriented, more indie influenced. And then No Reply from Hollywood takes you down to Far Away, which is also in that same kind of realm of like, I don't know, I definitely, when I was working on Far Away and co producing it with my friend Jim, I felt like it had a Duster vibe to it. I'm not sure if you know Duster. I'll send them to you if you don't because they're really good. And then you come to Leaving the Chapel and it's like almost shoegazy. And the last track, I don't know what that is. That's like 2020 Radiohead meets Barry. Barry produced it. I don't know. I just feel like each song kind of picks and chooses uh different genres. But I think for me, the influences I had making this EP are some all-time influences and some newer ones, more contemporary. But I'd say like I love, like, all-time favorites are like Mazzy Star, um, Madonna, Fleetwood Mac, The Mamas and the Papas, Patrice Rushen, Stevie Wonder, Todd Rundgren, and then more contemporary artists include Wise Blood, Angel Olsen, Men I Trust, Tops, the Marias, um, and I think that I try to really stick to my roots when it comes to making songs, and I think that allows me to, you know, feel like I'm doing something a little different, um, but at the end of the day, it's not for me to decide, it's for people who are listening. So yeah, when I make music, it's more like of a stream of consciousness. It's never like, oh, I want this song to sound like this artist or this track from someone's project. It's more like I'm gonna just give you what I'm thinking and tell you what sounds I'm hearing and what melodies I want, and they end up coming together in a way that I feel is hopefully able to be enjoyed and one day played along with my favorite contemporary artists. I feel like I'd love to go on tour with any of the bands I mentioned, and I hope we'd complement their sound. So
Mhm. And I guess speaking with like inspiration and influences, is there like a weird place where you've gotten inspiration? Like you wouldn't expect it to like have an idea just from doing some hobby or just at a weird place in a weird time.
yeah, let's think. I think it strikes. I don't know. I'm not someone who sits down every morning and like dedicates time to writing. I just feel like it's such a part of my day to day, like whether I'm working on something related to my project or not, like I am constantly writing all day. Um and I'm a copywriter as a side job. But even with that, I listen to music all day. I am constantly writing things that inspire me and just kind of stream of consciousness is I always try to do that. Um, I think that I I do like to write um when I'm feeling really, really good about life. If I'm feeling like everything's in line and, I'm having a good day, that's when I choose to write because that's when I'm able to kind of reflect on moments that are harder, in a way that I don't think I can reflect on when I'm in the swing of something that's bothering me. Um, and I'll often write in the moods that I when I'm in a bad mood or something is happening to me, I'll write about that and then I will then set it aside and look at it again at a later point, and I think that allows me to kind of like see into myself in a different way and like it influences the writing. I don't know. I don't really have much of a process yet because I just write when I have time. But I love writing.
And I know you've mentioned like being creative and just stream of consciousness. So I was wondering, like, I know you've released a couple of music videos so far, and I just wanted to know like which one was your favorite, and if you had like a helping hand in creating these videos.
Yeah, I would say I have I love making music videos. I think my most recent favorite was Crying on My Own. It's for one of the singles off the EP, and my friend Wesley directed that. She made the cover art for it. She was so ingrained in every part of the creative that I really feel like that was a standout video for me. It was the first video that the band was featured in, so it was just like a really awesome collaboration among people who, are super heavily involved in the project. So, yeah, I would say Crying on My Own is my favorite at the moment.
Okay. And once in-person concerts are, allowed and they're safe, where would you like to perform?
Ooh, I love this question. Where would I like to perform? Madison Square Garden. No. um, where do I want to perform? I mean, I want to perform anywhere that wants to have me. I feel like I love to perform. I love to go on tour with a bigger band and open for them. I think that would be so fun. I don't really have any specifics. We had a show planned in March at the Moroccan Lounge with some Cali bands, some friends of ours. It got canceled because of COVID, so I think that that's the show I'm most excited for because it's the one that didn't happen. Um, and I hope that can happen again when this is all a bit less dangerous and it's safe to do so. But yeah, I really want to go on tour. And I know the band does too. So I'm just excited for, you know, things to open up again when the time's right and hopefully play that Cali show.
And before I let you go, I just wanted to know if you have any plans for the future. Did you start working on new music or a new concept, new ideas, anything?
Yeah, I feel like at the moment, me and the band have been working on some amazing songs and demos like we've been sending each other recordings remotely, doing like passbacks to build out demos. I think I'm most excited to work on those songs with them because I started the project alone, but as the band has become more of an influence and more of the key members, I want to incorporate them into the project. So I'm really excited to kind of conceptualize the next project with the band. They were a part of a few songs on this project, but I look forward to this album. We're hoping to do a full length or maybe another EP, who knows. Um, I hope that that's able to come together with the band. And I hope to kind of rework old demos that I have with producers and friends, and send them to the band and see if they feel like there's anything they can add. So every song, regardless of if it was with me or the band, has a little bit of everybody. And yeah, I'm just excited to keep making music during the winter. I'm going to California on Friday for 2 months. I'm from California. I'm excited to get some winter sun. I'm very pale. And make some music. My guitarist is coming out there too, so I'm really excited for the songs we write.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us. And I love the EP, and I can't wait to hear what else you have in store for us.
Thank you so much. You rock, Selena.